Sorry, you can't shut me up. It's just, it's a disease. What you think about, what you think of yourself is the truth. If you think of yourself as you're a 230-pound person who is overweight and not healthy, that's probably who you are. Okay, but now I'm a 197-pound, very healthy person. I just haven't fit into my new body yet. I'm working on it, though. We're really, really close at this point. Y'all think about this. This is about listings today. That's the conversation. I think what's going to happen in the very near future, and we're already starting to see it, is we're not going into these multiple offers. Has anybody here that I can see that Face is actually on, has anybody here had a listing that didn't sell in 7 days without multiple offers in the last couple of months? Last month, really. I know I have. It's kind of unnerving. And if you tell it, everybody here, keep it a secret. If you tell your client, we're going to have multiple offers, have it sold this weekend, be very careful of what you say, because that is big time egg on your face. And that's a promise you definitely don't want to overpromise on. However, that does happen quite frequently. What we're prepping for today, I'm going to give you guys some great tools, I hope, is we're prepping for what happens when the market becomes a balanced or more balanced market. That means that homes can sit on the market for not 21 days as the average, which includes the homes that have been on for 365 and the ones that sold in 5 with multiple offers. But we'll get to 30 to 40 and maybe even to 60 or 90 days time on market. That is a healthy market in most of the country. If that happens, you're going to need to know how to keep your sellers engaged. And here's why. They're behind the facts. We're ahead of the curve. We know what is coming. You all out there, everybody out there, just give me the thumbs up of the people I can see. Did you figure out that the market has shifted a little bit? Do you know that to be the truth? Outstanding. Do you think the sellers think that's the truth? My home's worth more than any other home in the world. I just put in roses in the backyard. I mean, there's still that mentality that everything sells. It has not hit the media. If, just as a forewarning, if something hits social media really hard, or really the mainstream media really hard about the market shift and time on the market and buyers are pulling back, that is enough to create a herd mentality and have the entire market change really overnight. Keep your eye out for that, because the sellers and the buyers, they are consumers of news, of data, of information, yet their data and their information they're getting isn't as ours is. It's watching Zillow prices, which are ridiculous, or watching mainstream media. So keep your eyes out for it. All right, we're going to jump into this right now. Let's see if I can do this properly. I'm going to give you all the syllabus for this. This is going in the chat. Now, Joe, do me a favor, because there's going to be some people that are not going to have access to this because they're driving. Would you please put this morning, drop this link into the document section, the daily download documents in the front of GPS Global Partners. So if you don't have access to this, you're looking at it, you're like, oh my God, I want it, because everything's in here. You're going to have it. Just go to GPS Global Partners on the front page. There's a daily download, and it's going to be right there. I'm going to share my screen because I want to cover what we're going through right now. This is the document I was just speaking with. It's working with sellers, the ongoing process. If you download that document, you probably don't need this link, which is a link to this document. So that's kind of redundant. And we're going to go real quickly for these smaller portions, because there's not a lot here that we're going to need to unpack. Right off the bat, is to give you a list of tools to build out and customize to serve your listing presentation, to serve your clients over the course of their purchase of their home. The tools we're covering is the pre-listing package, listing package, cost sheet, and marketing communication and schedules discussed. So in here, your pre-listing package, I'm a firm believer of this. This pre-listing package, complete with everything except the cover, you're going to have to make that yourself, is right here on a link. The home improvement questionnaire, which is, by the way, for some of you, you may not have seen it, but I did a live listing presentation and covered how to use every one of these documents. The home improvements list, the link is right here. And this is a link to the live listing presentation. If you click on this, it's going to open up something that looks just exactly like this. Good morning. That's
This-
about enough of that because I can't listen to myself on there, but it is a live listing presentation going through everything, start to finish, knocking on doors, prepping everything for it. The lead sheet, I do want to cover that because this is so important. I use this for my listing presentation. This is my listing presentation. It's fully explained in the listing, the live listing presentation, and how to use it and what to go through. This is also where you gather your leads. I still use paper. I have them sitting right here. If one comes in, I can grab it immediately. I carry it with me in my briefcase too. I prefer that. You can put it onto a planner if you want it, however you want. This is a listing presentation in entirety, and it is a pretty darn strong one. If you practice that, you will be able to take listings. As a doctor analyzes somebody, this is more of an analyzing what's going on, finding the issues and challenges, and then going through a systematic solution on there. That's the EXP listing our PowerPoint presentation is right here for you. Copy it, steal it, or R&D, rip off and duplicate. EXP's listing presentation, the cost sheet is in here as well, which is doing a broker cost sheet if you want to break down their analysis for what their cost is. And 40 of the top listing presentations in the world are at your fingertips with this link. The cost sheet again brought up and it's exampled in here. Now, this is where we're going to spend our day. Save searches, active and critical, and the hit counter. When you meet weekly, and tools to assist. Well, let's start off with this part because really this is the thing in my opinion, is going to be the most important. Let's see if I can get this to pull up for us. I can. So every one of us has an MLS, and in the MLS, if you're going to do your listing presentation, you're going to have to pull up comps. You're going to have to pull up, besides the comps, you're going to have to pull up your actives in the area. I've got some saved, and I want to show you what they are because I think this will make sense. Let's see if I saved them properly. Crap, I'm Jackie here. Let me go back to me. So these are all the actives and solds. And let's say the neighborhood that we're working in, the property is hard to see, but it's right here. We're going to pretend that's where it is. This is Cypress Springs. It's an area I used to live in. I use it all the time. This is my, oh my God, if something happens in here, we better know what the heck it is. This is where I find my comparables. This is where I select the ones I'm going to use for my listing presentation. Now on this one, when I save this, I would save this as a saved search as I have this one. And now what I would do is I would save this as a new auto email after I'm going to take the listing. So I'm just going to pretend to do that real quick. I put the client in there, and this is important. Now this is really important. This is the ongoing part. This is the beginning of your ongoing communication. This particular search, this one that is the MLS, this is where we're finding our comps. It's usually in their neighborhood. The subject of this search, and you want to save this, and it's sent to them immediately. Okay. What I mean by that, it would say urgent. And then I put in their address and I said, we should talk. Now you can edit all of this information down here for the welcome email and the recurring. I do it. And the recurring, I would edit this down and say something to the effect of, we need to speak. If this one has you concerned, let's you and I get on the phone right now. Here's my cell phone number. So that shows up in their email. And I want this sent ASAP. That means the second it comes on the market or something changes. So in this one, and I'm not going to save this because it won't make sense, but in this is the beginning of my communication. My search that I use to pull their comps becomes my urgent email. It's sent out on a daily, or excuse me, it's the second something happens, active, pending, and sold. Now I want to give you some examples in this one and make sure you do this. Before you send that out is just because I put everything in my MLS search when I'm pulling my comps. And then I pick the ones that make the most sense. But if my house is 2,000 square feet and there's 3,500 square feet homes, exclude the 3,000 or more square footage because they're just not relevant. And that's not an urgent. Active, pending, and sold. If something goes pending, I need to know about it right away. If something goes on the market, I need to know about it right away. Now, there's one more thing that I forgot to mention, and hopefully I can make it up here. Again, this is the beginning of your communication. See if I can go back on this. I can. So in the criteria, in my MLS, I hope this works in yours. I have this one set up. So you'll notice that there's a date in here. It says 8/10-2022. And then it goes through 12/31-2022. Here's the important part. The reason I put a date on this is I want to know, pay attention to this part, really. I put a pending date from the day I list the home because I want to know if anything went pending after my property was on the market. Why did somebody choose another similar home in my immediate area and not mine? That's going to be an immediate criteria. I want to know it. The previous ones that are pending, we no longer need them for value. We've determined our value and the market's now working. But I would encourage you to change that pending for the exact same thing. Let's go back to the other search that I created. And in this one, this is one that I bring to the listing appointment as well, or I have ready at the listing, and it's the listing or it's the actives in the zip code. So this is in all of the zip code. And I just search the zip code, but what I do is my criteria, I would break it down into, I get a little more into where the square footage is. And quite honestly, if we know we're going to price it at 400,000, I may do 300 to 550 because that's really a range. Anything higher than that, it's not really relevant. That's because that's where we're at. Does that make sense? Now, this one, when I click on this and I'm going to save this, this is an auto email as well, but it's going to be a little bit different. This one I would save. This is an auto email, fill in the whole thing, reoccurring. This is our competition. This one I have sent out, by the way, please, for the love of God, make sure you're BCC'd on both of these. You have to see them or they are useless. They just go to the seller. And what'll happen is if you're not communicating proactively, like we do this all the time, we'll both get, Jackie and I get a listing alert that says urgent. As soon as it says urgent, we're like, all right, what's going on? So we can look at it and we immediately call our clients and say, hey, this one I wouldn't worry about. I just went through it. The pictures don't look good. Your home is so much better than this because it's an active listing that just came on in our neighborhood. I think we're still superior. Or in this market, they're $15,000 less than ours and they have a new updated kitchen. And I think that that's a little superior. This is a big competition. Listen to this carefully. Do we want to let them sell first or do we want to sell first? Because either way, whoever sells first is the new comparable and the new price value. And if it's a little lower than ours, that's where it's going to appraise. Just giving you a heads up, Mr. Seller, it's your, or Mrs. Seller, it's your choice. So definitely make sure you hit the BCC. On here though, I like to send this on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Now you can pick and choose. You may decide to do it in the afternoon. I would encourage probably more morning time for these, but it's up to you. However you choose to, but this is not as recent as, because all this is showing on these, this is our search. This search is showing active homes in the area. New ones that come on are important. What is the competition in our zip code? Because truthfully, most clients will start looking from zip code to zip code. I think we can all probably agree that if you're in a zip code in another house, similar neighborhood, similar zip code, it's relevant to see what your competition is. It also lets the seller know that anything below their price is probably going to sell first. And I want that in their face on a regular basis. And here's why. So we've set up our active and our critical searches. We have another tool that we're going to use that I use in my MLS. I'm in the Matrix MLS. So we have something called a hit counter. And I think it's important to show that to y'all if I can find it. Bear with me just a second. I can. Awesome. All right. So this is in the Matrix MLS. If you have something like that, terrific. This is something you'll bring up on the second week. This is where you start talking about your first full week on the market or close to it. You're going to start talking about a hit counter. It shows your MLS. It shows all the information on it. How many client portals is it in? How many people has this been pushed through to the MLS? In this case, this hits 1,278 clients who have identified by a search that this is what their search criteria is. Now, of these client views, only 79 have favored this or have viewed this property, and there is no favorites and no possibilities. They can actually do this. Okay, the clients can actually do this, and you'll see it. And we only have one listing that's on the market right now because everything sells. And this will show me it, but I'm a little hesitant because if we don't have anybody favoring it, and really nobody's opened it up, which means it doesn't mean they haven't looked at it. It means that they came through in their feed and they went past it. Okay. There's 29 or 79 that actually looked at it, and nobody's favored this. This is very relevant in our second conversation, which is our next week as we're going into it. So we're going into our communications. All right. I want to talk about setting expectations. Whenever we meet with a listing or the client, we're doing it, say, listen, and I hope you guys will adopt this. It's going to be part of your listing presentation. It's actually in the listing checklist presentation, which I did on the live listing presentation, and it covers communication. I like to tell everybody and tell them, so we're going to communicate. In fact, we're probably going to over communicate. If you want to, please feel comfortable to tell us to stop bothering you so much. But we are not going to be those people that don't make sure you have all the information. Now, nobody's going to tell you to stop bothering them, but what everybody knows is real estate agents do not communicate well. It's what we're known for. We're right up there with car dealerships as far as being trustworthy. Okay, so beat this one, run to the front door with this and say, we're going to over communicate. At a minimum, every Wednesday, we're going to have a meeting where we talk about what's going on in your market. We talk about your home specifically. How does it compare to the comparables? But we have to be committed to that. And I'm committed that by every Wednesday at the latest, you'll actually have that. For everybody out there, that's called eating the frog. Okay. Doesn't seem like a big deal if you got one or two listings, but I want you to consider at one point, the person that came up with this with me, Jenny Weimer and I, we were each carrying around 21 listings, 22 listings each. That was a hell of a daunting thing to get done on a Wednesday. So we started on a Monday and finished on Wednesday, but that was our commitment. You want to make this commitment to your clients. I can't emphasize it enough. Pick a day that you're going to do it. You're not going to have to actually call them and have this conversation. I'm going to show you a very, very effective workaround. Okay. Tools to assist you. Does anybody here know what Snagit is or TechSmith? Has anybody ever heard of it? People I can see, just give me a thumbs up if you have. A couple of you have, a couple haven't. I'm going to have to showcase this. Sorry if this takes a little bit of time, but you're going to figure out why this makes sense. If I can find my MLS, we'll do it even better. So, bear with me, guys. I promise I'll bring it up. Okay, so I am now going back to, this is my saved search. This is the one that is the listing class. It's called listing class, but in this one, what it is it's all the homes that are in my neighborhood. Okay, this is a very important one. So I'm going to do a very abbreviated version of this. Can you see this little S up on the top of my screen? It's hard to see, but that is actually the Snagit key. So when I click on this, it opens up an editor. Tiffany, do you remember how much this cost Snagit per year? 59 or something, sound about right?
I was going to say it's less than 70 a year.
Okay. All right. So I use this for communication with everybody. Tiffany gets it. Joe gets it. They'd send it back to me. This is a great software, probably one of the best. And if Ollie's on the call and he says it's good, then everybody just go ahead and buy it. There's a link for it in the document, has a link, or you can do it. It's under TechSmith. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a video. I can also do images and capture screenshots and do that very, very effectively. I'm going to capture this video, and now it has me map out what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do the MLS. So when I click on record, I have this. You can't see it, but there's an edit button over here, and I don't want me on there. There. Now I know it's going to go, and I'm going to record starting right now. 3, 2, 1. Hey, Joe, you're my client. Hey, Joe, I wanted to just cover what we've got in the MLS. Now, you may want to be on camera for this, and actually, that's probably what I would do. It'd be like, hey, Joe, I wanted to cover kind of take a look at what's going on in the current market around your home. So I want to dive into the MLS, and these are well, obviously, this is your home, and these are all our active homes. These are the ones you get notified on a regular basis. Couple things that I'm a little worried about. This one just came on the market right here on on Mahogany for $450,000. Now this home is really XYZ PDQ. don't really care. I'm going to have a conversation about that home. Also, we just had a property that sold right here on Lady Slipper, 1,400 with a pool, sold for 415. So I'm updating them on that. You'll notice I actually have my transaction fees on this side. I use that as a selling point. You don't have to have it. That's just how I have this set up. And this is called a bull report, which is just, if you want to, take a picture of it or stop this and recording it, and you can actually drop them in. It makes it very easy to look at all the information that's really relevant. So I'm carrying on my conversation with Joe, and when I'm all done, I'll probably go back to this. All right, Joe. So I sent over something else for you, and I'm going to give you a call in a little bit. Right after I send this, I'm going to put this into an email for you. Now we're still seeing, y'all still seeing this page. This is the capturability of this. Now I happen to know that I went back and forth for a minute and then said, I'm going to actually come back on, and I'm not having the volume on just so you don't hear it. There we go. Now this is ready. So watch this. I'm going to go there, screencast, and it's going to prep it. To me, this one tool allows me to communicate directly and have a conversation, which is part of the relationship, with my clients. I can have them watch my screen and not go beating into questions, but I can really talk about what the heck is going on. I can make sure that they know what's happening in the market. And I'm always prepared for these. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes to get prepped, get everything open and ready to go. I may actually showcase some of the things we're going to cover, which is the ongoing marketing campaigns, in this format. Now, word of warning, if you're using this, what we're doing right now is something that's called a screencast. And with this, you can do a screencast. The screencast, unfortunately, does tend to buffer a little bit after a couple of minutes. If you're going to do it and it's buffering a little bit, I would highly encourage you to put it into a listing or upload it to YouTube, make it unlisted, do whatever you need, and send them the link. They're going to see this, and this communication level is superior to anything I've heard of so far, short of actually being at the house and presenting all the time. But the truth is, they don't want you there. Not that they don't want you every week at the house. So this is ability to really talk to them about what's going on in their market. This is pulling up right now, and I want to share you. This is real time for how long that took. It's almost finished. Once this is done, you'll see that it turns completely blue and it moves pretty slow. We've probably got another 30 seconds left at the most. And then I'm going to open up the browser and I'll put it in there and just press play so you guys can see it. This tool has helped me in every aspect of my business. If anybody out here is interested in building a real estate team, or has an assistant, or is doing something that is duplicatable that needs to be done again and again and again, we actually have to-dos made up. These are to-do tutorials on what to do, and we save it so we don't have to go over it again and again. Joe, you use these when they're sent over to you for tutorials, correct? Yep. It's super easy. I'm communicating, or Tiffany is, directly with him, and quite honestly, he communicates back with us. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Just Control V. This is in there. It would be like, hey, Joe, I wanted to cover, kind of take a look at what's going on in the current market around your home. So I want to dive into the, you get the idea. I don't want to beat that up too much because it's not necessary. Again, this is Snagit, and it's done. It's coming from TechSmith. I will actually put the link in the box just for everybody. It is available for you. The cost is $62.99. I just saw that. This is the link for TechSmith. I can't emphasize how powerful this is. And that's an annual cost, by the way. That is an annual cost. I'm not a big fan of having people spend money for the sake of spending money, but when it comes to your listings, it is really important that you are the top of the game, because listings beget business, and we want you to be the very strong listing agent. That's the way to go. All right. Ongoing marketing campaign. This is what you're going to be doing when you take a listing. It's in the bottom right here. Week 1, MLS, obviously. Boost the post. Open house, if they'll allow it. Consider using a smart number rider. Anybody remember these? That's my smart number, and the number is more details. Everybody on this call that uses KV Core has access to this smart number. And I made these riders up for, I think, $15 each. I made up 3 of them. One says, well, this one, more details. The other one says more info. And last one says, show me more. So I put these on my listings and I do it and I capture them this direction because I want that information, that lead feeding into KV Core. All right. You need to have an action plan for what you're going to do with a listing that takes some time. And this is an absolute easy piece of cake, doesn't really cost you anything. MLS, boosting a post. You're going to spend a little money, but you want to be able to showcase that to them the first week. Now, let's take a break. In listing a property, I use something called a major and a minor search bracket. Here's how that works. When I'm having conversations, and let's say for Joe, he's like, I really want to list it at $465,000. Okay. All the comparables show that the real appraised value is $445,000. This is a real life scenario. So I'm going to say, Joe, something that we need to be aware of is what's called a major and a minor search bracket. When a buyer is looking for a home, they can't say, well, I want a home that is priced up to $394,652.55. They have to say it's up to 400. And buyers tend to look, we've studied this, in what's called a major and a minor search bracket. That if we're priced in our major search bracket, which would be 4 to 450, that's where we're going to get the most amount of eyes. The next one is 450 to 500, but at 465, we're really competing with the 499 numbers. So we want to be careful. And it's probably going to appraise based on what we've just priced it out. And by the way, that's covered in the listing presentation, how to value it and how to communicate it. It's probably going to appraise at about 445,000. Do you really want to get to that higher search bracket, that next major bracket, or do you want to just push the market and let's go 450 on this? Up to them. If they say, I really want to go 465 and you're consistently going to, and you're like, I want to take it, terrific. But don't lose sight of the fact that your objective is to move them to the next bracket as soon as you're capable of doing so. Now, I mean that by when I'm having this conversation with Joe after week 2, we're going to cover that in just a minute, because week 2 is where I really start talking about what we're doing in traffic and everything else. We're fully exposed. I want to continue to have that major and minor bracket conversation. Say, Joe, you know, we've had 7 showings and no offers. And during that time frame, last week, our biggest competitor sold, but they went under contract for 435, and it's exactly the same floor plan. When that one closes, that's going to be the new appraised value. We're still at 465. What are your thoughts about getting into that next bracket and going to maybe 450 and see if we can get an offer presented? Because we haven't had enough traffic, quite honestly. It's all about traffic. It's never about marketing. Your marketing is extraordinary. Now we're going to go back to marketing. This is what I use as kind of my cheat sheet for my 6 weeks. Week 2, I use listings to leads. Is anybody familiar with listings to leads? I'm going to give you a little showcase of it because I truly think this is spectacular. If I can find it. Really? Awesome. All right, I did. So if you want to click on this link, listings to leads, this is what I do in week 2. Traffic conversation, we just covered that. Facebook ads, I push those through listings to lead. Let me showcase this real quick. Guess I had it up before, so let's try it again. There you go. So this is listings to leads. It's I'm of the ability, I sign up for this on a month-to-month basis because we have another listing, we're signed up for it. We didn't, but I'm just signing up for it now. It's $40 a month, and you can cancel anytime you want and come back to it again. If you are going to do some marketing, this is something that Shannon Pyatt had talked a lot about for generating seller leads for sure. But I'm in the marketing section right now. I clicked on listings, and there's Facebook ads, e-flyers for the seller's search, for the seller's, well, let me just show you that. I'll pull it over. This e-flyer is right here. Obviously, the Facebook ads, I push them through there. I like to do them through there. I think they're a little stronger. The e-flyer, of course, I push them out here in the first one with a boosted post because I'll post it in there right out of KV Core. on this e-flyer, this is for the seller. It has all the home's information, and it is awesome. In fact, let's just take a quick look at it. Sorry, it's for the sellers. This is the one we send to the sellers, and we just send it over because it doesn't really talk a lot about them. It's 100% for them to send out to their clients, to their people they know in their database. Hey, I just got my listing. I wanted you to send it out to your entire database. I think it'd be great if you would help me out. That's part of what we do. For your database, there's one as well. Maybe that's something you would add into your arsenal as you're going through. Single property website is super easy to develop. Single property website is right here, and it creates it for luxury or lead gen. This is the one I bring to the listing appointments with a picture of the front of their house when I'm dropping off the pre-listing package, and I make up one for them, and I showcase that as what we do. Now, I personally have that come back out on the second week, unless I have to do it at the front of the listing. I want to continue to bring some value. So it's traffic conversations, our TechSmith Snagit conversations that we have, a Facebook ad for sure, an e-flyer for the seller so they can help market. Forgot to mention this. This is where I bring out the international MLS. I will know if I need it. If I, like with Joe's home, Joe's overpriced. Joe, bad seller, bad. You're overpriced. Shouldn't be $465. It should be $450 at the most. So I may have to bring out the international MLS because I want to make sure that this home is going to get the proper exposure. And I want Joe to know about it, or to know that I'm doing that. This is the international MLS. The fee for this with 3 listings is $99 a year. When you take your first listing, I would encourage that this may be, or the first listing that's on the market for more than a week, you may want to consider using the international MLS. It converts it into the basic, or it converts it into the text of their language. So think about this. If I'm in China and I'm looking at an MLS, it's got pictures and it's got description. The international MLS, it actually converts all data into Mandarin, so they would be able to read it in their native tongue. Now, remember, in Florida, this is just Florida, we have 22% of our buyers are international buyers. So this is actually not a bad tool in which to showcase. It's completely up to you, but you should have a list of what you're going to do start to finish. So you at least have a plan, have a system in place. Week 3. Oh, I'm by the way, we talk about the reductions in week 2. I push for it hard in week 3. After reduction, as soon as it's done, we're going to reboost it, which is right up on top. That's a quick MLS boost for $2 a day, $10 for 5 days kind of thing. Open house around it, and then broker showcase. I'm also going to showcase this to every one of our brokers again. Okay. Week 4, discuss marketing approach as a whole and what's been done. That's where you have to have this list. And so these are all the things we've done. We've heard it international. We've got it out to everybody. We've ultra boosted this property. You've sent it out to your database, right? Well, no, I didn't do that. Oh, well, okay. Not the end of the world, but I sent it out to all of mine. I'm going through my list of what I've done on week 4, and we still have an issue. And that issue is we are not under contract and we're not having the traffic we needed. We've had no offers. And at this point, 3 weeks in, we've had 10 showings. My personal goal is 5 showings a week at a minimum. We're behind what I think is necessary to get an offer on your property. This is my week 4 discussion. There's a YouTube listing video. Maybe. YouTube listing video. If you want that, you can create that right here as well. This thing does so much for you. I can't emphasize how strong this is. For $40 for the month you have it, it makes great sense. Week 5 and 6, add something special and unique. You will know more where they're at and what they're doing. You are going to have conversations every single Wednesday. Now, for everybody out there listening, pay attention. Everybody, right now, this way. Don't ever miss that call. Ever. That's your commitment. That's your word. That makes you authentic. It makes you actually true. They believe you and they will believe you. But if you miss it once, you're in harm's way. Remember, Wednesdays eat the frog. There's a great thing at 2:30 today on how to manage your schedule and prioritize that Joe brought up. This goes on your schedule. It's Eat the Frog Day. And I strongly encourage you to have that on a Monday, even though you said it's on Wednesday. And when you send it, say, listen, I didn't want to wait. It's the beginning of a week, and I thought that it was important to get you this update as quickly as possible. Every Wednesday, guaranteed. But I had some time. I wanted to do this right now to share it with you. Whenever you see urgent show up on your phone from an email from the MLS, pick up the phone and call them, because they need to know you care. If you do not make the phone calls, if you do not be consistent and do what you say you're going to do, if you don't have a strategy in place, you're going to be trying to make it up. And I promise you, none of us work very well when we're massively under pressure of, oh my God, they're going to fire me. That's not what they're thinking. They're thinking that when you don't call. They're thinking that when you don't do what you said you're going to do. They don't mind the idea of an honest conversation. And everyone on this call, I hope you're having a conversation about what it will appraise for based on the 3 homes an appraiser almost exclusively has to use. And if the appraiser decides to skip over this home, this is part of the script, by the way, he has to write a page exception report. And even worse, if it gets questioned at the underwriting and this home isn't the best choice for the appraised value, they put a ding on his appraisal score, and he now is losing his own business. So why would he risk his own career to skip over this home, which is in our neighborhood, Mr. Seller, Joe? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. I can't see him doing that. I think we have to consider that this home is going to be the most likely used home. And unfortunately, that one sold for $435,000 3 weeks ago. How can we justify $465,000? I mean, we can price it there, but I think the appraisal is $445,000. Do y'all see how I continue to look at it from an appraisal view, how I tell what an appraiser has to do so they don't go, oh, well, they're just, nah, they'll use another home. There's a home a mile away that's worth $1 million too. No. Okay. And you have to know how to educate your client on that. All right. Joe, do me a favor, drop the list or the first one I did, which is the Google Doc. I think it's the top up there, if you would. Lorna, is my screen share? I'm hoping that worked throughout the meeting. If it doesn't, let me know. Hopefully got it right. I just looking through the comments at this point. Guys, if you're not prepared for your listing, when the one comes, the one that is going to be the one that starts you off in that neighborhood, starts you off really well in what is going to be a new market for all of us. If you're not prepared with a strong listing presentation, my personal choice is the checklist version. But I'm rather biased to that since I use that all the time and that's my favorite. I actually turned it on to Jackie a little while ago. She goes, this is pretty good, because you don't have to. I will give you this little tip. If you're going to use the checklist version, and I hope you do, I really do. It's in this page too, so you've got it. It's yours. It's already there for you, and it's in here as well. I think in one of the links. If you're going to do this, though, and you're committed to it, you have to close off marketing. Now, inside of this is where my marketing is. I don't have a slide. I do have a slide deck, but nobody wants to see a slide deck. When they do the marketing, I open this up. So I can say, listen, I've covered a lot of what we do in our marketing. The bottom line is we're extremely good at making sure your home is distributed everywhere. And for Jackie and I, including the international market. Do you want me to go over and give you a 15-minute presentation on all the things we do with marketing, or can we both agree that this is one of the things we have to be experts at and we're going to do a great job for you? And almost every time they're like, I'm good. Let's move on. Awesome. That's my commitment for marketing. It's important to lock that up. And yes, they're fine with it. Move past it. Now, if you're taking photos, please use a professional photographer. If the professional photographer has the ability to do drone shots, pay for it. Unless it's absolutely not needed. Use your best judgment. This is the entire game. Here's a conversation you can have with sellers. The whole purpose of marketing is to get them through the front door. Now, when you send the photos over to, boy, I can't believe I missed this one till the very end. There's like 6 people that are not going to catch this. When you send your photos over to your clients, before it goes on the MLS, as well as your description, before it goes on the MLS. Get them to sign off on it. How does it look to you? Oh my God, it looks phenomenal. They're excited. They're happy. As long as they're not photos taken from an old iPhone that looks like crud, it's going to be something they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Hire a professional photographer. Shameless plug, DeVore Design. That's who we use. They're awesome. Okay, you want more information? Let me know. They're terrific. I don't have anything. He's just a great friend of mine at this point because he does a great job. Find a photographer or talk to an agent in your local market that does a good job and say, who's your photographer? I like what they do. Great photos, great description. Have them say, yeah, that's perfect. Terrific. We're going live tomorrow morning. They have just agreed that the photos are great. The marketing is terrific. It is the best representation. I can't believe how good my house looks. You really want to make an impact? Show up for the photo shoot. It's a great opportunity to get a referral. Okay. Help move things around. Said, my mission is to make this perfect. The house is going to be flawless. It's up to you. You can still do your work on that. I'm going to stay out of the photographer's way. You're busy. Have conversations, check Facebook, put social media posts, do whatever you want. But you show up there, that makes a big difference. If you don't have a lot of listings, make the effort. If your schedule isn't crazy busy, make the effort. They will remember it. Once they're done signing off on the photos, you are ready to roll because they can't say, well, the photos are crappy. No, they're not. You said they were phenomenal. Well, the description sucked. No, it isn't. You said it was exactly right. You reviewed it with us. We gave it to you. You gave a review. We made some changes to it. We all agreed it's terrific. So if it's not the photos and it's not the description, what's left? Price. Okay. Now, please don't go that forward at them when you're doing this, because that's not going to be beneficial to anybody. But when you're having that conversation, the marketing's great. The photos are great, terrific. The communication has been extraordinary. We're talking about traffic, and unfortunately, we're not getting the traffic we really should in this home. And we had one home, which was, and it's so awesome when one of your urgent pop-up emails shows up and it completely supports that you're overpriced and your listing needs to be adjusted. It's like it slaps them in the face and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And here's the cool part. Hey, it just popped up. We got to talk about this one. Yeah, I think so. What do you think? Well, they underpriced it. Probably a little bit, yeah. Because it sold in like 2 days. The thing is, though, I looked at it and I think the closing date for this is 4 weeks, which means there's a really good chance that's going to be a comparable, the most recent comparable an appraiser has to use on this home, on ours. We can't fight $435,000 2 doors down. That's the same floor plan. We cannot fight that. That's going to carry the most weight. It actually harms our appraisal unless we get this under contract right away, because then hopefully, because they won't use a pending property as an appraisal. But if we don't, appraisal takes around 2 to 3 weeks. So if we're not under contract in this next week, there's a really good chance this is actually going to affect our price point on there. That freaks me out. I would rather get it down to, I don't know, what's a good number? Major, minor, search bracket. What do you think, Joe? How do you feel about 450? Let's push it. We know it's where it's going to appraise. And there's your price reduction. But you're never the one saying it. The market's saying it. You're simply the interpreter. You're never the one saying this is what it'll sell for. Because if it is, get out your checkbook. Ooh. Thank you. Almost forgot that. Get out your something I had written down that I forgot to do. Get out your checkbook and start writing a check for it, because you are not the person buying the home. And if you are, then give them the price it's going to sell for. If not, tell them what the market is bearing and tell them what the appraisal value is going to be based on really good comps. This is what I think an appraiser has to use. They don't have a choice. They can't skip over this home and go to the next one. This is the biggest struggle, and the biggest part of a listing presentation that everybody struggles with is absolutely getting the value right. So many people want to say, it'll sell for this. Bullshit. Unless you're writing a check, don't say that. It will appraise almost certainly with these 3 homes being the ones an appraiser will use. Does that make sense to you, Mrs. Seller? Yes, it does. This is something you need to practice. For anybody that is a newly licensed agent is on here saying, oh my God, this is the stuff I want. By the way, these are all recorded. These are in our, Joe, hit it, YouTube link, drop it in there for me, bro. I figured out how to do it yesterday, so I don't have to ask anymore for you to send it, because now I know how to find it myself. But I don't know where my video was explained how to do it. I just did it the hard way. These are all recorded in YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, and the link is just dropped in there. So you can go revisit this anytime you want. And remember, in this recording, as well as in what Joe's going to be doing, is he's going to be dropping this page, which has all these links in the daily downloads. It'll be there probably till next week. But don't wait, because once we pull it, we pull it. Okay. And unfortunately, we're not going to have a tail wag the dog on this. If we're putting something else up there, you're going to miss it. So make the effort, put it on your schedule, prioritize what's important to you. If you want the documents with everything in it, please grab it. All right. I got to say this for brand new license agents. That's where I was going before. We have every Thursday. It is Emerging Agent Boot Camp every single Thursday. That's all we talk about. It's helping our new partners get the most awesome tools and support they possibly can. The first minute or the first 30 minutes is really kind of tutorial education. We're going to be doing a little bit of lecturing, a little bit of talking about what's going on. The next 30 minutes or 25 minutes is live role play, working with the tools, how to use them, really diving in. And the last 30 minutes is all about any question you might have, regardless of the topic that has to do with real estate, basically making sure that you've got somebody who can help answer these questions. We do ask that we keep them to about 3 minutes in the Q&A part, because we can go down a deep hole with, oh, I got this, and I don't know what to do with this, and it'll take up everybody's time, and that's not fair. So we do try and keep that last 30 minutes to 3 minute to 4 minute segments, so everybody has a voice. Now let's open this up for a couple minutes. I've got 10 minutes before I have to stop, because I prospect at 9:30 and lead generate, and I hope you do too. Anybody got any questions or any comments? Great, George, I'm going through 2 listings. Yep, Deb, absolutely right. I mean, that happens all night. Nice backdrop, by the way. It's easy to find you. You always got a pretty backdrop there. She said, I'm going through it. So when I pursue doing another open house based on reduction, what would you say to the neighbors when door knocking again? That it's the market was bearing a little bit higher. So we've remarketed, repushed, reamplified, and we're actually doing another open house in support of what I think is the right price adjustment. It's hard to do that and have an intelligent conversation without owning the truth, which is we're shooting for the market a little bit higher, trying to capture the last amount of that really pushing market that we had. And now it's softened a little bit, and the seller is extremely wise and very knowledgeable and has identified that. And so let's make an adjustment that makes sense. That's where I would go with that.
Hey, George.
Godfather, go for it.
Go ahead, Donna.
Fred?
Donna, were you talking?
It's you, Fred.
Hey, George, first of all, thank you so much again and again and again. And then you brought up the mindset part of it, which is so true, is that you got to just see yourself being a listing agent. Just do the small things first and all the basics, and then you start getting that mindset. And I encourage everybody to be on tomorrow. I have 2 guests, 2 international women. One of them is going to share with you how it took her 20 years in prison and 2 years in addition to that just to change her mindset. She's come up with this whole thing, be kind to your mind. It's going to be powerful. And you want to talk about changing your mindset. You can change your mindset to be anything. You could become a ballerina dancer. Now, I'd hate to see myself trying to ballerina, but if you had the mindset for it, you could do it, right? So, I really encourage you to be on tomorrow. It's going to be very powerful. 2 international women. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Fred. I appreciate it. And if you decide you do want to do ballerina, I would love to see your first show. I will be drinking at that show for sure. God bless you, Godfather. All right. Anybody else have anything? Nice job, Deb.
Wait a minute. I'm going to get on the table, George. One second.
Okay. No. Please don't. Deep. What you got, Deep?
Bring out the drink. Bring out the drinks. Fred's dancing. So first, second of all, guys, whatever George talked about. First of all, thank you, George, for doing this. And more, we need to do this, especially for the new guys in this business who overthink how to analyze a pricing or listing or comps for their own buyers. Market dictates the numbers. Just remember that. Just remember this part. Market dictates the numbers. Last 2 years, what we went through was an unrealistic market. And if you go back and research 40 years of your market in real estate, it's never been what happened in the last 2 years. So it's uneven. 24-hour in today's market is crucial. If you have got an update or something active that's already in the list, you're competing with this listing that comes on the market, your seller needs to know. They need to react. Your job is to make sure you educate them and let them make that final decision. They don't wait 24 hours. Oh, I'm going to update them after the weekend. Don't want to give them the bad news. There's a listing that came up, 50,000 cheaper than what it is. No, they have the right. They've hired you for a reason. There's a reason why you're a professional real estate agent. And if you're not, then that's the time you're not going to do that job. So please, guys, this is very crucial. This is the reason where me, George, other people are going to come and take the listings off your buyers, your sellers, because we are going to really tell them exactly how it needs to be done or how it really works.
Love it. Deep. Thank you very, very much. And what Deep said is true. I used to lead with this all the time. Go ahead, do a piss poor job, because I'll be right behind you and I'll take your listing. Turn in a bad contract, because I'll own you and I'll own your clients. I will promise you, I will take full advantage of your mistakes, and I will take advantage of that and put it towards the buyer, it's my seller, so that he looks good. And I don't care that it embarrasses you and humiliates you. I'm not interested in your feelings. I'm interested in winning for my clients, and I'll do whatever it takes to do that. So go ahead. Don't know your craft. Don't know your skills, because I can't wait to take you down. Now, none of that is true, and I guarantee that is not my philosophy. However, consider that that's a possibility, although highly unlikely. Wouldn't it be advisable for you to be very strong in your skill and your craft? It is mission critical. We are paper pushers. We are marketers. And most importantly, we are lead generators. You have to know your contracts. You have to know your valuation skills. You have to know your listing presentation. That being said, I'm going to finish with my listing presentation. My very first one. You all have heard this before. If you haven't, you're going to love it. If you have, well, just deal with it. I'll go quick. I promised I would never, ever, ever drive by a for sale by owner without knocking on a door. I'm committed to my list, to my lead generation platform. It was for sale by owners. If I saw one, I stopped, period. 4 PM, my 4-year-old, 3-year-old boys in the back driving, I don't know, Expedition at that point. There's a for sale by owner down a little cul-de-sac. I'm like, crap. So I turn around, I go there, I talk to them. I spend an hour with these people, nicest people in the world. My kid's playing with their kid. I got a whole tour of the house. I said, listen, why don't I come back tomorrow? I'll show you what we do to list homes. Probably get it sold. They said, that'd be terrific, George, because we're actually going to hire a listing, or we're going to hire an agent to sell the home for us. We had it on the market for a while, so we'd love to see what you do. So great. How about 4 o'clock tomorrow? Perfect. Now I'm in khakis and a golf shirt. I show up the next day in slacks, a button down, and a tie. I don't have to tour the property. I go right in. Husband sits on one side, wife sits on the, never, ever let them split you up. Ever. Okay. But wife's on one side, husband's on the other side. I know when I'm talking to the husband, the wife's there going, this guy sucks. And when I'm talking to the wife, the husband's like, he's an idiot. I am literally flop sweating. I mean, just sweat dripping off my forehead. At the risk of being uncouth, I have boob sweat. Okay, it's that bad. And it's a dress shirt. I'm just saying, this is who I am. It wasn't pretty. Halfway through, the wife gets up, comes back with a paper towel and a glass of water, gives it, go, here you go. It's literally paper towel so I can dry off my head. The husband leans over and goes, it's okay. You're doing great. I did not get the listing. That was a big commission. That home was, I think, $350,000. It was all 3% at that point. And that was a lot of money for a brand new person who just quit his $75,000 a year job and didn't have any income. And I lost it because I wasn't prepared. Here's the lesson. Are you going to lose something because you're not properly prepared? Are you going to lose something because you're going up against me and I'm better prepared, or somebody else in your market that's better prepared? And if that's who you feel you are, here's my suggestion. Do what I did. My wife at the time had to endure my listing presentation 4 times a week for a year. She can still do the listing presentation. I was never going to go through that again. And I hope you never do as well. But I guarantee you, if you're not prepared, it'll sneak up on you and it's going to bite you in the ass. And I'm going to challenge you to be very strong and very brave and come in here one day and go, it was me. No boob sweat, but flop sweat for sure. I look like a fool. I lost the listing. I didn't realize my buyer bailed on me because I was an idiot and I wasn't prepared. Because everybody here needs to know that you can do, this is where the Godfather comes in so well. You can do whatever you put your mind to, but it takes preparation. It takes time on task over time. If you're going to be a listing agent, you better know your listing presentation. Or in lieu of that, you better practice after you've watched me do this once, which is the listing presentation that I put in the link for you. You better know how to go through this checklist. You better have a pre-listing package because nothing happens without it. Is your game the best there is? Joe talked about scheduling today. On my schedule, every day, there's a block for 1 hour, and it says working on my business. It doesn't get my lead generation time frame. Do you have a block on your schedule that says working on your business? You should, because your business is constantly and continually going to be evolving, as the market does. We're going through a transitioning market. I've changed my business strategies, plans, actions, and communications probably 4 times in the last 20 years because it didn't work anymore. I need you guys to be super nimble. I need you to be very aware of what's going on. And I want you to practice what's currently in your wheelhouse. And I would always encourage everybody to have a time to work on their business. Now, I got up at 2 o'clock this morning. If I did not put working on my business wasn't KV core or wasn't making it rain, there's no way I would write that in as that's what I'm working on right now because I'm tired. I just want to take a nap. But because I wrote it in on Sunday, I filled out my entire week of what working on my business looks like. I don't have a choice. I just know I got to knock out the making it rain thing. So that's generated and in process. And that's on my to-do list. Have that kind of mentality. You'll be amazed what you can accomplish. And folks, everybody out there, pay close attention to this. 1% improvement over 3 months is 100% better than you are right now. Everybody's got 1% in them every day. You can do this. It's your world. Market's going to change and the opportunities are astronomical. Practice your skills, practice your class or your presentations, practice your skill sets and your knowledge base. You'll be surprised what you can get accomplished. That's all I got. Have an amazing day. See you guys tomorrow for the Godfather. Thursday, emerging agent boot camp. And if we are doing a lot more social, a lot more training in the Central Florida area, trying this out. If you are, you'll get a text from me in just a couple minutes. The social committee has their first meeting today at 10 a.m. And I sure as heck hope that's right. And I didn't miss that up, but pretty sure it is. Yep. Social committee, 10 a.m. Training committees tomorrow, 10 a.m. Have an awesome day, guys. God bless y'all.